Hi, everyone. Welcome to GrifEye's last webinar of 2023, one that I've been really looking forward to because today we're going to introduce our plugin that can be used to help distinguish between material generated by AI tools from the materials that is created and captured by cameras. This is valuable not only for those files depicting the sexual exploitation and abuse of children, but also the material created to facilitate other crime types as well. Today, we will cover the background in the plugin's development, how it works. We'll walk you through installing it, how to interpret its results, and best practices. You'll also get insight into our next steps and have the opportunity to ask questions. I'm Sherry Torres, the training manager at GrifEye, and just a little bit about myself. I retired earlier this year from the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office in North Florida, where I still live, and I spent over half of my career as a detective investigating crimes against children. And I'm grateful to continue working in this space, and today I am very happy to have this opportunity to brag about the talented team of developers over at GrifEye. When I was a police officer teaching part-time for this company, I would talk to the developers about my feature requests and the problems that I was dealing with in my cases. And I really felt like they listened, they cared, and they were motivated to help. And they are still like that, innovative and just plain awesome. One of those individuals is Joseph Eklund. He's here today as the lead developer of the Exif AI Detector plugin. He's been with GrifEye almost 12 years now, and I'm pumped for you all to hear about the exciting research and work he has been doing on this project, along with other people at GrifEye as well working with him. While Joseph presents, I will be watching the Q&A area, so feel free to drop your questions or comments anytime during our webinar. Joseph will also do the same for me when I do the demo of the plugin. Please keep in mind, due to the nature of Teams live events, there is a 10 to 20-second delay from the time our media stream is broadcasted to you. But we will make every effort to answer your questions or hold them for later, such as at the end for our closing discussion. A recording of this webinar will be available for you afterwards on demand in our user portal as well. Now, without further delay, I am honored to introduce you to Joseph Eklund. Joseph?
Thanks, Sherry. And as you mentioned, I've been with GrifEye for a long time. Currently, I'm the team lead for the team that handles GrifEye Brain and visual search type of stuff. So currently, we're working a lot on video matching, visual video matching. And this plugin is sort of a side project which has taken a lot of spin, and that's really exciting, of course. And I hope it will help you in your work. So a quick background about this project is that, as you are aware, I'm sure, there are a lot of generative AI models that are being developed to be able to generate photorealistic material. And this is something that we can see both online in sort of benign situations and also in the CSA space, unfortunately. And one of those popular models is Stable Diffusion. That's a model which have been released publicly. So the model itself is possible to further develop for anyone who's interested. And there's sort of a large and active community around the development of this model. So this model is being actively developed to do a lot of things, art and drawings and photorealistic content, and unfortunately also sexual abuse content aimed at children. And we have been mostly focusing on the Stable Diffusion model or derivatives of the Stable Diffusion model, since that's what we have seen to be the most popular one in the space. And that has a lot to do with it being open and possible to modify for anyone. And there are a lot of different tools that you can use to sort of make your work with this model easier. For example, Automatic 1111 and Comfy UI those are two examples of openly available tools that will sort of help you to work with generating material, and you can sort of save pipelines and build up configurations on how you want to generate material. In this space of CSA material, it seems that automatic 1111 is widely the most used one. According to some studies into dark web forums, this is the tool that's being mostly discussed. And also from data sets, we have been able to see that this is the tool that's most often used to generate the material that police come across. So how do we detect that an image is AI generated? Well, there's a huge interest in the research community. So this is a very, very active research field. And most of the research is currently focused on detecting this from the actual image itself, which is, of course, a much more robust technique than using Exif data. It's also a much harder problem to solve. But since it is a very active research area, there's a lot of new papers coming out basically every week with new techniques and new results and new approaches to this problem. Another thing to note is that there is a huge number of use cases outside the CSA field. There's a lot of industries that have a need to distinguish real material from AI generated material, which doesn't have anything to do with child sexual abuse. And that sort of helps this research to be on a much broader spectrum, which we in our field can make use of course. Some of the problems which we are facing in this space are sort of unique to the CSA space, but this is not one of them. And we expect a lot of progress to be made in this research field sort of in the near future. But when it comes to Exif specifically, as I'm sure all of you are aware, almost all cameras embed a lot of Exif data into the images that it saves. And it turns out that most of those AI tools that I was discussing before, like ConfUI and Automatic 1111, they also save some metadata. For example, they usually save the prompt, and they usually save some type of settings object, which can be used to see how it was configured and what modules were used and so on. So this detector plugin, what it does, the logic is very simple. It uses sort of a list of Exif values and Exif fields that only occur on real images or only occur on AI generated images. And this list is something that was compiled or researched or statistically derived, basically, both from material that is real CSA and AI generated CSA, and also benign images of both those categories. And this was done in cooperation with law enforcement agencies. We don't have that material ourselves, so that has been done in cooperation with law enforcement. This approach is, as you understand, a very simple approach. And compared to visual detection, this is something completely different. And there are a few pros and cons to this type of approach compared to the visual type detection. And the pros are, firstly, that this is very, very fast compared to visual detection. It's on the order of, say, 100 images per second on my laptop, which is a performance I would not be able to have on a visual type detection. That would be a few orders of magnitude slower. The results that we get with this type of detection, they are easily explainable. So the logic can be explained to the user, and the user can understand why the detector has come to a certain conclusion. This is not always the case with visual detection. Most often it's not. This type of detector makes very few mistakes, which is sort of connected to the explainability. We can reason among the logic that we use, and we can make sure that that the logic is sound and what we're detecting on is reasonable. We have obviously also done some testing on datasets that we have access to and measured the number of mistakes, and so far we haven't found any. And another pro of this approach is that it's available right now. We don't have to put more research into this. This is working as is. Obviously, it can be improved, and there will probably be new AI tools that will pop up along the way, and we might need to sort of have support for them in the future. But this is available right now, and it works for Automatic 1111 and ComfyUI and some other tools as well. The cons of this approach, well, first of all, you should know that Exif isn't tamper-proof. If you have some suspect that has deep technical knowledge, it's perfectly possible to tamper with the Exif data, which can be used to fool this detection if you know what you're doing. I don't expect that to occur that much in real life, but the big caveat here is that many images don't have the Exif data. It has been removed on some part of the way. For example, when you share images on social media platforms, or when you resize them, or some similar operation, or the suspect himself might be aware that the Exif exists and just strips it. So in real life, I expect that to be the big drawback of this solution. And I think that's the basic background of this plugin, and we will go through to the demo unless there are any questions that you might have before Sherry goes on with the demo. So we'll give you a little bit of time to react, and since we have this slight delay, we'll see if you have any questions.
It doesn't look like anyone has entered in any questions, but if you do have some, feel free to drop them in the Q&A. Joseph will monitor that area while I do the demo, and we'll also have time at the end to answer any further questions. So we'll proceed with the demo. To get your hands on this awesome plugin, you'll need to go to our website, griffi.com. and log into our user portal by navigating to My Griffi. If you don't have a free Griffi user account, just click on register over here and use your official work email address when signing up. Once you get approved with your account, go ahead and sign into the user portal. Once you're logged in, you will find the plugin available under Support, Exif AI Detector plugin, and you'll find yourself on the landing page where you can download the plugin here and find out all the great information about it, how to install it, how to interpret the results, where to submit feedback. And I can't emphasize enough that this is a newly developed tool. It's super useful when Exif data is available, but it also needs refinement. So please help out with that. Your input is going to help make this plugin better. You see here the email address. We'd love to hear back from you after you've been using it on several cases. And then at the bottom here, you'll find some answers to common questions that we have received about using this plugin. So when you download the plugin package that's available here, we will, let me open up what that looks like. You will have two different files available to you. The current version that is out is 1.0.6. This readme.md file, that's just a simple text file that you can open up in Notepad. When you open it up, it has the same information that's found on our website about installation, interpreting the results, feedback with that special address we'd like you to use, and then the frequently asked questions as well. The other file is our Analyze plugin package file, the APPKG file, and this is what you will be installing in Analyze DI Pro. So let me walk you through that process. Again, this plugin can be used in Analyze DI Pro. We'll talk about CS in a moment at the end, but plugins are not supported in the complementary version of our tool, Analyze DI Core, so you will need DI Pro. To install it, you'll go to File, Griffi Analyze DI Settings. In the settings pop-up, there's a plugin section. You'll click on Install, and you'll point to that plugin file, the appkg, and then select it and click Open. I'm going to go ahead and just click Cancel because I've already installed it here, which you now can see listed as well. I'll close this out. If you have a case already open like I do, you will need to save and close that case and then reopen it to have that plugin available for your use for that case. But there's 3 ways to run this plugin. You can enable it in the case creation process when you have the case creation wizard, you're creating a new case, or when you add new evidence to your already created case. There will be an option in the wizard for you to enable the Exif AI Detector under the installed plugin section before running it against the evidence that you're importing. Now, if you didn't run it for the first time when bringing in that evidence or when you created the case, you can easily run all your evidence files and rescan it against the plugin by going up here to Case Data, Rescan Against Plugins. And on that drop down, you'll be able to select Exif AI Detector. Now that will run the plugin against all your evidence files in that case. You also have the option of just running on a selected number of files. So let's say I'm interested in these 6 files here. From here in thumbnail view, I can right click, select plugins, and run it on these 6 files that I've just selected. Now, when the plugin is run, the tool is going to analyze the available EXIF data in a file, and then it will bookmark the file using one of the 4 possible classes that you see here. So you can review the results under the bookmarks panel. You can see here I've expanded the subgroup of Exif AI Detector, which was generated by the plugin, and I have 4 classes. AI generated probably means that at least one EXIF value indicated the file was generated by an AI tool, and none of the EXIF data indicate or suggest that it's a real file captured by a camera. Real probably means that at least one EXIF value indicated the image is real, and there were no EXIF values suggesting AI was used. Unknown means the plugin was unable to determine if the image was real or AI generated because there were no EXIF values suggesting one or the other. And you're going to easily find this in the real world because a lot of images have their EXIF data stripped when they're uploaded or shared using certain platforms like Facebook, for example. People can also strip or manipulate EXIF data themselves using freely available EXIF editors that are out there. Conflicting data, that indicates the file is both AI generated and real at the same time. So when you see this with this type of bookmark, the file's EXIF was probably manipulated. And if you see this out there in the real world on your cases, please share the info about that file. Of course, obviously not the actual illegal files themselves, but the metadata about them to the email that we listed in that README file. We'd really like to hear about this, when it happens, what kind of situation triggered this type of bookmark. The EXIF tags that triggered the classification, any one of these that you see here, will be listed in the bookmarks comments. So I'm going to go ahead and filter down to AI generated probably. And so I'm looking at the files now in thumbnail view that were flagged or bookmarked by the plugin and detected as AI generated. I'm going to select this file here on the bottom left. Now to bring up the bookmark pop-up, I'm going to hit the keyboard shortcut B key, B as in Bravo, and you'll find under the Edit Comments tab, it was the Exif user comment metadata field, that field embedded within the Exif data of this file that triggered the plugin to detect it as being generated by an AI tool. To further analyze what was in this, you can easily just move over to the info panel here on the left under the Exif tab. I'm going to close out the bookmark key so I can scroll down along this panel. So under the Exif info tab within the info panel on the left, you'll see here the Exif subgroup has a user comment with a lot of text. Now, what I'm going to do so we can look at the data that's here, I'm going to right click on this field, select copy value, and let's take a closer look at the text here using Notepad. I'm going to copy it into Notepad, and we can see here that this is clearly the prompt here up at the top. Street photography photo of a young woman with purple hair, smile, happy, cute t-shirt, etc. So this is the prompt that was input by the user on what type of file they wanted generated by the tool that they were using. There's also a negative prompt. And then notice here you have a model hash, the type of AI tool that was used, and other specifics about that software. Now with a negative prompt, the reason that that's there, a lot of times users use that to refine the results or improve the results. A lot of AI generated images are not perfect. Sometimes humans are depicted with extra fingers or extra ears, maybe even misplaced body parts. So you'll sometimes see negative prompts are very specific at reducing or excluding those oddities in the output. If any of these relevant values are in the Exif comment field, like you see here, you'll also see that it is available to you in grid view, which is the best view. So I'm going to go to the grid view in our tool. And we have a column here called comment Exif, and you can see here all of the different types of prompts, negative prompts, and AI tool generated information or AI tool relevant information available in these files. If a column is in grid view, you can easily add the data within that column in your fileless HTML report. So I generated one with files that I selected earlier. So here's my HTML report here. And you can see here I included the comments, which I can sort through. I can search within those comments in the search table function up here. But I have all those prompts, negative prompts, and AI tool information included in my HTML report. To place any of this data in a custom summary report that you can generate out of our tool, I have a slide for that. So for this example, this was actually a real world example shared with us. Under the PNG group and we're in the Exif information tab within the information panel. Our law enforcement user found what looked to be a prompt input by the user, as well as an explicit indicator of the type of AI model used to generate that file, Stable Diffusion, which Joseph mentioned earlier. So to place this type of information into the summary report that you can generate out of the tool, you would mark this file as representative and then insert markers related to these fields in your report template. So if you wanted to include this prompt in your summary report, you would have this marker within your template, your summary report template. I have submitted a feature request to the dev team to add in known or possible Exif tags that may be relevant to this type of AI generated Exif values so that they can easily be included in the fileless HTML report. So again, where can you get this plugin? You'll need to log into the Grify user portal and you'll find that landing page to download the plugin under the support tab in the user portal and find out all the information as well in the README file as well as that page where it's hosted. Not only will this plugin help you identify AI-generated imagery quickly, but there is also value to proving files are real. So if you have an offender who's claiming a photo is AI generated, it's not actually him or her performing a crime, so that crime never actually happened. This tool can also help in that type of situation and help support you in explaining, no, that file is real. And it's easily understandable when you explain how it is detecting AI generated versus real. But please keep in mind, this is not an all-in-one solution. All of these points on the slide repeat what Joseph cautioned earlier, but it doesn't hurt to emphasize again, this is a newly developed tool, and as investigators and examiners, you still need to test and validate the results as you do with your other tools that you use. And this is really great, especially when Exif is available, but a lot of times Exif might not be there at all. So you will have some unknown files. So don't ignore the potential for evidence existing in any of the 4 possible bookmarks. So I'm going to pass this back to Joseph, who will give some insight on our next steps from here.
Thank you, Sherry. So for the future, we believe that this plugin will probably not be enough in the long run. It's a good start, but as we have both emphasized, there are a lot of instances where Exif is not available. So we plan to sort of ongoingly review any current research that is happening in the world or in the field, and we expect this research to take take new turns basically every week. So we're following up on that. And during the next year, sometime, we will do some effort to do detection based on visual content. And this is probably something that will end up in the brain server in a first step, which is at this point exclusively for CS. And we will probably be able to use the media types classifier that is already in the brain server as a means to speed things up, because there's probably a lot of images of different types that can be skipped. We're not that interested, for example, in if a screenshot is AI generated or not, or if a piece of artwork might be AI generated or not. That's probably not your biggest concern. You're probably more concerned about photorealistic stuff. So that's the rough plan for the next year in this field of work. And as some of you already asked in the Q&A, for the CS platform, there is currently no plugin, but it's being actively worked on. So the same logic and the same detector type will be able to connect to the CS platform, and that will probably be packaged as a Docker container that you just connect to your CS server. And that is currently sort of in a working developmental state. So it hasn't been thoroughly tested and it hasn't been thoroughly packaged. But it's pretty close to being possible to release. So that's something that I at least expect to be released early in the next year. And as Sherry also have pointed out, any feedback that you have regarding the use of this plugin or any potential improvements that you see, please send them to this email address, and we'll do our best to keep the plugin up to date and improve it as time moves by.
Thank you, Joseph. We are now going to open the floor to questions, and while some questions are perhaps being sent over, here is our contact information. A huge thanks to Joseph and his team for all their research and hard work that went into not only this project, but all the great innovative solutions they continue to work on. I just published a recent Joseph, I don't know if you had anything to add. I responded to a question from a user about manipulated content containing both real and generated elements? Was there a way for the tool to kind of suggest what was manipulated?
Okay, so I'm guessing here that you're talking about the in-painting sort of stuff where you can use a real photo or any image and then have an AI tool generate parts of that image, which you can sort of choose. So this is a popular mode of operations for some of those tools. And in this case, the image would be detected as AI generated, and the Exif detector cannot be used to detect what part of the image have been tampered with. At least we haven't seen those types of settings saved to the Exif data. Since we have seen other tools save a lot of detailed configuration, it might be possible for some tools to do this type of detection. It's not something that the plugin will do automatically for you, but it will highlight the fields that it has used to deduct that it is AI generated, and then you can go to those fields as Cherry mentioned in the demo and look at what those fields contain. So this might be possible in some cases. It's not something that the plugin will automatically do. This might be of some interest when we get to the visual type of detection, because in those cases, the visual content of the image will be comprised both of parts of the image will be real and parts of the image will be AI generated, and that might be something that that type of detector can distinguish. That's not our first priority, but it's something that might be possible.
Thank you, Joseph. Are there any other questions? Again, this webinar is being recorded and will be available on the user portal. So if you think this might be helpful for your colleagues, please share the news about this webinar, share the news about the plugin. Please use it. Please provide us feedback on it so that we can improve it. And let everyone know that they can watch the webinar if they were unable to make it today. We'll hold on for a few more minutes if you'd like to pop a question into the Q&A area. All right, Joseph, I don't see anybody else typing in a question. I want to thank you so much for all this hard work. I know this was something that is of increasing concern in the law enforcement community with seeing AI generated material out there and used for terrible ways, especially with the sexual exploitation and abuse of children. So thank you for all the hard work that you've put in here. Thank you to the team that you've been working with as well. And thank you all to everyone who is here for your time and attention. And please stay safe out there. Thank you.
Thank you.